Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 13 of 10 Minutes of Wisdom. I know it's been a long time, but I have a very special guest for you today. I have Matt Taylor, with whom I work very closely. He's an expert in application security, web apps. I think he has spent his overall experience on this topic is more than my own age. So that's sorry to make you sound old there, Matt, but just shows the kind of experience he has. So he has helped build a lot of security companies throughout his tenure, and like some of the big known brands in security. He has worked on that. He has also helped create a lot of good startups, helping the ANZ security ecosystem. So thanks, Matt, for joining us.
Oh,
And
cheers, Vanil. The grey hairs don't lie. Mm.
yeah, so today's topic is we have been hearing about GenAI for last 1.5 years a lot, and now with Matt's experience, practical experience, I wanted to check basically what when you take a look at how attackers are using it and how defenders are using it. I just wanted to understand from him what are the use cases of it, and finally, who is winning this war? Who has made the best use of AI till now? So that's how I'm going to frame this podcast. So, Matt, the first question to you, we have heard a lot of things like how attackers are using Gen AI, but do you have any specific use cases based on your experience, how Gen AI is being used by attackers?
Yeah, thanks, Vanil. Yeah, look, we do, and I see this pretty often. Now, the particular threat vector I'm looking at is when attackers use generative AI tools to produce their attacks and iterate their responses. And some of the stuff I'll actually pick on is some research from Dartmouth University and Northwest University in the US,
Yeah.
where basically their premise is that you don't have to come up with a clever ODA to get around
Mm,
some of these security tools to get to the app. You just have to look where, say, WAFs and CDN parsers and application web servers just disagree on the classification. Okay, so an
mm.
example of that is we've seen about 2,000 bypasses come up in their
Wow.
research, and all they're sort of doing is things like, hey, they're going to scan the thing looking for a particular signature. What if I split that into multiple parts, right?
Mm,
What if I use multi-form uploads to do this,
yeah.
multi-part forms, all of this sort of stuff. And we've seen quite a lot of that in the wild. So there was a bunch of stuff put out by Fortinet saying they had issues, and we've seen AWS through Cloudflare, through all of these other guys, sort of also highlighting that these sorts of approaches have been bypassing the controls and they've had to scramble to defend. So lots and lots, and to be frank, every month we see more.
Yeah. So these are mainly web application firewall bypasses you're talking about. Uh,
Well, that's the area that I mainly look at,
mm,
which is web apps.
mm,
They can use the same sorts of approaches elsewhere, but the one that I'm sort of very focused on is the web applications.
yeah.
Um, Now, I didn't mention the signatures. Look, for them, signatures is a quite straightforward approach as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yeah.
So even something like an F5, which I've got a bit of experience with, they've got about 9,000 signatures,
Wow.
which in the old days that was pretty good, right? It was
Mm,
quite difficult for someone to find a class that wasn't addressed by some of those signatures, and it became prohibitively expensive.
mm,
Unfortunately, the generative AI is really, really good at iterating.
yep.
And unfortunately, it's driving the cost down to zero as well. So 9,000 signatures, to be frank, for generative AI is not
Yep.
that much more than one
Yep.
signature.
Exactly.
So we're seeing lots and lots of those sorts of bypasses.
Mm,
But like with a waffled and like with HPP, parameter splitting and all that sort of carry on, they're not even having to rely on things
mm,
super, super complicated at this point. But the
wow.
Gen AI is a force multiplier.
Yeah. And what about defenders now? There, I am sure like you're working with some of the very smart clients as well. How are they using Gen AI to defend themselves right now? What are the things you're looking at?
Yeah, well, look, what I've outlined is the strength of AI, which is they're very good at generating and iterating.
Mm,
And so machine learning and all that sort of stuff, correlating data, relies on information coming back, right? So if you can mess up with a signal coming back, if you just block them when they do a bad thing and allow them to do a good thing, you're
Yep.
way too accommodating for the machine learning algorithms to actually iterate and find the hole, right, through deep
Yep.
testing. So the sorts of things that we're seeing are probably pretty well illustrated by an experience I had with my niece actually, where she wanted me to try to get some tickets for a Taylor Swift concert. And what happened is I was thrown into a queue.
Mm.
I was waiting in the queue, and you
Okay.
can guess by my profile, I wasn't selected. And so I was told I was unlucky, not that I was unworthy.
Yeah.
And so with other organizations, I've used exactly that same technique to tell attackers that they're not unworthy, that they're just unlucky. So put
Mhm.
them in queues, then ask them for things like, hey, to get to the front of the queue, can you put in your credit card details because you're going to be asked for that, or just put a $10 hold on your card. Can you give us your passport or your driver's license? Or will you allow us to crypto mine off you? Will you watch this ad? These sorts of things where you monetize the engagement or you force more information disclosure are very uncomfortable for an attacker and very difficult for a generative AI
Mhm.
um, agent to approach. And then finally, like I was sort of the whole premise of this by putting them in the queue is to disrupt the signal they're getting back. So number one, take ages, and then also give them wrong information. So maybe say the page is not available, or there was an error, or some other, or coming up with honeypot content is a great idea. It just puts a burden on the defender, whereas putting up a maintenance page instead of allowing them through to the page is much easier. So those are the sorts of things that we're seeing defenders do. And I guess I've given the Taylor Swift example. Uh, I've used very similar techniques for
Wow.
government organizations to defend from critical components.
Yeah. So innovative thinking at its best to tackle this Gen AI stuff. So, but when you talk about these technologies, you're not talking about like there are so many other vendors going out there blowing out the budget, having
Mm.
separate budget for Gen AI protection and everything. So the techniques that you're mostly talking about can be addressed in the existing budget CISOs have. It's just that they have to think more innovatively and smartly. So that is my understanding, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also just now, so the final question is, what is your verdict based on your what you see day in, day out? Who is winning this battle, or like who is using Gen AI best right now, attackers or defenders?
Right now, I think what we've seen is that attackers are using it as a scale multiplier to attack as many organizations they can. And so no longer are they choosing organizations, they're just saying, instead of you being a target of choice, you're just a target of opportunity. And I'm
Mm,
seeing them actually get lots and lots of information about other clients and other information and other potential targets. So, in a nutshell, I'd say that the attackers are using it better because they're taking it more seriously. But that said, some of the techniques that I've spoken about are very effective at stopping those attackers. So, as long as defenders actually jump into it and actually prepared to embrace some of these deception style techniques,
yep,
there's no reason that they can't level this playing field pretty rapidly. But at the
yep,
minute, I think the verdict in terms of who's the first mover, I think the attackers
yeah.
have been more aggressive at using these tools right at the minute.
Yeah. And also attackers don't have to follow a particular change management process and
That's
like
it.
not
That
burdened with
drives
millions of
efficient
processes.
speed. I've done some math on that, and you can see if you're going to follow the old way, the attackers win because they don't need as much time. So how do I mess up with their time? Well, you need time for change management. I can mess their time up by corrupting their data set that they're learning
Mm,
from. So they run their machine learning over their attack response data set, and I've corrupted it. So they have to
mm.
start again, right?
Yep, yep. Thanks a lot, Matt. That was really very insightful. Some of the techniques that you said that defenders can use, that was really innovative. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. I hope I can do more sessions with you like this and learn from you. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for your time too, Daniel.
So, yeah.
Thanks.